Hey everyone. Fast zero cycling is becoming a more and more viable concept every day for Minecraft 1.16 speedruns right now, and I wanted to help people have an easier time learning how to do them. Now, I'm not a map creator by any means, so these two world files you're seeing are not well-made practice maps. There's a couple people that have showed interest in making practice maps in the future, so they will be out there, and I'll let you guys know when that happens. But for now, I will have these two very simple, basic world files available to download in the description below, and I'm going to walk through how to use both of them. This first one, the zero cycle practice, is just to help with basic timing, and the second one with pillars just shows my current setups that I use for 9 of the 10 obsidian pillars. Okay, so I'll show you what this first practice map looks like. Again, it's very simple. I don't have any fancy command blocks or buttons. You spawn in creative mode on one block of endstone, facing a setup to place a bed and start a zero cycle, and the dragon will spawn behind you and begin circling. And the dragon has two different rotations. It can go clockwise or counterclockwise, but this should be the correct height in order to practice zero cycling every time. I do it in creative mode because you don't really need to be in survival mode to do this. You'll take half a heart every time you do a bed in survival mode, but just for timing practice, it's a lot easier and consistent to do this in creative. So if you mess up the cycle or you want to reset or something, you just have to save and quit. So unfortunately, no buttons, no fancy command blocks, but you can just reset the dragon every single time and work on your timing. So again, the timing takes a while to get down, and you'll notice if you trigger a bed too early, you'll still get good damage on the dragon because it'll be towards the head, but you won't get enough knockback to continue the cycle. And so you'll see the dragon get too low, you won't be able to continue the cycle, and it'll break the bed. I could do every bed late though, and I could continue the cycle with enough knockback, but it's going to take a lot of beds. So these ones I'm going to focus on doing a little bit too late, and you see how the dragon's just going to get higher and higher, and the damage is just not going to be very good. So you can like 9 or 10 bed doing it very late every single time, but you're not going to get a consistent, well done zero cycle. So I just keep saving and quitting until I get a good one. And again, the dragon only has a 7 out of 8 chance to come to this diagonal node, so you will have to save and quit 1 out of every 8 times when the dragon chooses a different node. But yeah, it's just a simple way to work on timing. It's kind of brute force, but it works. And let's see if I can get one and do the dragon's death animation here. Because you can reset this still when the dragon dies. Okay, so the dragon will undergo its death animation, and will actually have about 20 seconds, which is really painful, but it'll have about 20 seconds until it gets down there to the bottom perch and actually begins dying. During this animation, it still has an active hitbox. It is still considered technically an alive dragon, and so when you save and quit, you can come back in and it'll respawn and you can just do this over again. So even if you kill the dragon, you can just continue doing this practice. All right, so this next map is, instead of a timing map like the first one, this is just a setup map to help get you more familiar with the different types of setups based on the obsidian pillar that you'll see in a fast zero cycle. So when you spawn in the end, the dragon is either going to be a front dragon or a back dragon. 7/8 of the time it goes to the front right node, which is where we're going to have to do a setup, and 1/8 of the time it'll go to the front one if it's a front dragon. If it's a back dragon, then it'll be 7/8 to the back left node, and then 1/8 to the node directly opposite of you. So I don't have any setups currently for the 1/8 of the time. I only have setups for the front right and back left, but 7 out of 8 is 88% of the time, so the majority of the time you'll still be able to get a dragon that goes diagonally. I'm going to have a video that explains everything about this, all the setups and the numbers and why I've chosen these, but for now I'm just going to do a real brief explanation of why these certain setups exist. So the 10 obsidian pillars in the end island are actually the same every single time. I know they seem completely random and different each time, but it's kind of just a trick the game developers made to make it seem like it's random. But there are only 10 set obsidian pillars. They're just in a random orientation every single time. Or maybe there's a set preset number of orientations, but they essentially look random to us. So there's always 2 cage pillars, for instance, and they're always the same height. They may look taller or shorter based on the end that you enter, but that's mainly just because the end stone beneath them can be taller or shorter. So these two cage pillars are actually the same. So I've gone through and I've named all of these obsidian pillars, and I have setups for 9 of the 10 of them. And so I'm just going to go through from the smallest one to the tallest one and talk about the setup. So I have little signs labeling all of them, and I've given them fun little names to remember them by. This one is the small boy. I like that name. So the width of this one is 5 obsidian blocks at its widest. The Y level is 76 when you stand on it. So when I refer to Y levels for this video and the next one, it's just going to be when you're standing on it, what that Y level is. So this is 76. And I found that the easiest spot to get to and make your 0 cycle setup is to stand on Y87. So if this was a front right pillar, I would spawn in the end island over here on the spawn platform. I would throw 1 pearl, I would throw a second pearl to get up that pillar, and then I would begin making my setup. So I just have white wool here, but let's say, for instance, that I pearl and I know the dragon's node that it's going to is right here. It's let's see, in this orientation, if I spawn on the end platform right here and go to this front right pillar, the dragon's node is going to be to the front right of this. So I would start making my setup and building up on this corner of the obsidian pillar. The same is true if I spawned in the end island and had to go to the back left. The dragon's node is going to be right around here, and I already have a setup for this tall pillar on this side, but the dragon's going to be on the front left of this pillar. So I'm going to do this example as if I was making a setup here. So it says Y76, but stand on 87. So if I was in the right position here, I would go up a few and go to Y86 right here, and I would go back 3 like this suggests here. And then once I'm at Y86, what I always do is make this block to stand on. So I go 1 over and 1 back to stand on, 2 up, and then my obsidian. And then I go down here and then I trigger my beds. So that's essentially what this is. All of these pillars have this little setup where I've done this already, but I just refer to the stand on 87 block, which again, I'll explain all the math in a video later. It's kind of complicated and annoying. So you stand on 87 and make your 2 up, and then your obsidian. So that's the small boy pillar. The next 2 tallest are the cages. So this is the small cage. It again has a width of 5 obsidian. It's Y79 when you stand on it, so it's taller than the smallest one, and you stand on 91. So if you can make your setup starting from the top of this cage, the cage is a little awkward and sometimes you can fall in, but you know, if you can make it from on top, it's not too bad, and you stand on Y91 here, and you trigger your beds above that. Third one is, I believe I've called this one tall cage. So this also has a width of 5. It's Y82 when you stand on it, and you want to stand on block 94 to do your 0 cycle. These numbers of the stand on block are not set in stone. These are just what I've found in my first round of testing is the most optimal spot to stand on, where kind of wherever the dragon is coming from, it'll swoop down and be at a perfect Y height position to get hit by the first bed. So in these cages, you want to build off of the front left cage spot. The next 3 pillars above the cages are all medium pillar widths, and so there's 3 of them that have width of 7. So this one I've called M85 because it's a medium width, and it's Y85 when you stand on it. So on this one, you want to do a setup where you stand on block 94, and you want to basically make your setup on this first corner on the front of the pillar. So that one is M85. This one is 3 blocks higher. They all go 3 blocks higher. So from the very shortest to the very tallest, every single pillar is just 3 blocks higher than the next one. So this one I've called M88 because you're on 88 and you stand on Y94 here. And then the last medium pillar here still has width 7 is M91, and you want to stand on block 97 to do your perch. If you can get up to 97, this is a lot more likely to zero cycle the dragon from here because you're so much higher than any potential target block. But if you can only get to some of the other stand-on heights, like 94 or 91 or something, for instance, a lot of the times you can do this. This one you could probably stand on 94. If you stand on 91, though, it might be too low, and your bed explosion might destroy this crystal, which ruins the whole zero cycle. So that's what all of these setups essentially are for. It's so that the beds are in a position where you're not going to destroy the end crystal as well and cause a strafe during this. The next three pillars are all in order on this end. They just happen to be rising in order. So these I've called the tall pillars. So this is T94. The width is 9 obsidian on this one. You stand on, it's 94, but there is no current setup for this one. So the problem with this one is if you build up, you would need to stand on block like 100, and there's simply no way to get up here fast enough in order to build up to Y100 to stand on and zero cycle the dragon. The dragon's going to run into you before you get up there. And unfortunately, we can't go low enough, because if we had to go low enough, maybe we would stand like right here or something, but the dragon's target block would be like right next to us, right here, even with us. And so the dragon is just going to reach its target block before it gets to our bed, and it's going to fly away. So unfortunately, this is in just an awkward position where it's too short, too tall at the same time. So I don't have a current setup for this one. The next two tall towers, this one is 97, so I've called it T97. And again, you can't get up high enough on this one. And so the best solution is to pearl on the side of this tower, stand on block 85, maybe 86. I'm still working on the exact position for this one, but right now 85 works, and you can zero cycle the dragon some of the time. It's pretty low, so its target block might be around here and it might fly away, but this is your best chance for this tower. The ninth tower is also a tall one with 9. It's T100 because it's on Y100. And again, the setup is going to be below, this time on Y87. The last one I've called Big Boy. Of course, it's a very big boy. He's got 11 wide. This pillar is unnecessarily wide, and it's on Y103. It's the tallest one, and again, your best solution here is to stand on Y91, which is a pretty good spot to stand on. There's still a good amount of spaces below you the dragon could choose as a target block, so this is a pretty solid one. So yeah, give these two world files a try, and I hope you enjoyed that. And yeah, have fun doing zero cycles.